Hello everyone, this is Remlay from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. For this episode, nominated on Patreon by Charlie Mink, we will be taking a brief look at the Aeldari Craftworld of Saim-Han. This video will be a brief overview for certain events that may be explored in greater depth in additional videos in the future. So without further ado, let's begin.
Feel the rush of the wind against your skin, and hear her keening cry in your ears. Listen to her call well, for are we not the wild riders, the children of the storm?
Saimhan, also known as the Quest for Enlightenment, is one of several Aeldari Craftworlds, gargantuan world ships that serve as both home and refuge for members of that ever-dwindling species, in particular those of the Asayani sect. The world rune of Saim-Han is that of the Cosmic Serpent, a creature that is said to exist in both the material and immaterial universes simultaneously. The symbol is indeed an appropriate one for the Saimhani, for in the tongue of the Aeldari, the word for snake and hidden knowledge are one and the same, Saim. Like its contemporaries, the craftworld of Saim-Han can trace its origins back tens of thousands of years, to a time when the Aeldari Empire was at its absolute peak. As Aeldari society grew increasingly hedonistic and self-indulgent, some groups chose to abandon the core worlds of the Aeldari Dominion in order to distance themselves from such depravity and decadence. According to legend, Saim-Han was one of, if not the first craftworld to flee from the Empire, allowing both it and its people to remain more or less unscathed following the onset of the Fall, a cataclysmic event that saw not only the birth of the Chaos god Slaanesh, but the very destruction of the Aeldari Dominion itself, thanks in part to the creation of the gargantuan warp space rift known as the Eye of Terror, itself caused by Slaanesh's awakening. Saim-Han itself would eventually come to nominally settle deep within the eastern fringes, at the literal opposite end of the galaxy to where the Aeldari Empire once stood in what was now the volume of space swallowed by the Great Eye. Thanks to being a craft world, which is effectively a colossal starship, it is capable of traversing almost anywhere throughout the galaxy, albeit relatively slowly. From a cultural standpoint, the people of Saim-Han are seen by other members of their species as being wild and borderline barbaric, at least by the standards of the Aeldari, appearing to have more in common with Exodites, those Aeldari who chose to settle upon primitive, backwater worlds in order to live a simpler yet harder way of life. The majority of Saimhani society is divided into numerous Wild Rider clans, with each clan being ruled over by a chieftain. These clans are known to hold familial bonds in the highest of regard, with the chieftain's closest family members, known as kinsmen, even being known to adorn themselves with each other's blood upon the eve of battle, and even drinking it straight from their lacerated wrists. Not only this, but military units will typically be comprised entirely of blood relatives, due to the spiritual and possibly even psychic bonds that such individuals share with one another. The only time a Saimhani will put aside or even ignore such familial ties is during their time as an aspect warrior, elite warriors that train in one of many specialist roles, with each role said to be an embodiment of Kala Mencha Kane, the Aeldari god of war. As well as this, the Saimhani are also known to be proud and honourable individuals that are both swift in repaying any perceived debt that they may incur, as well as being incredibly quick to anger. As a result, this will often lead to frequent conflicts occurring between the various Wild Rider clans. However, instead of going to war against one another, rival clans will instead appoint champions to engage in ritualistic duels to resolve their differences. As befitting their more barbarous nature, the warriors of Saim-Han are famed for both their bravery and ferocity, descending upon their foes like a storm of destruction. In battle, the warriors of Saim-Han are known to favour speed and hit-and-run assaults, making extensive use of jet bikes and grav tanks in order to inflict as much damage upon the enemy as possible, with even their various seers and warlocks frequently taking to the field of battle in such a manner. Despite this preference for high-speed assault, the warhost of Saim-Han will still nonetheless make use of both light and heavy infantry, such as Guardians, Aspect Warriors, and Wraithguard squads, although nowhere near to the extent as other Craftworlds. And that concludes this edition of 40k lore for newcomers. If you liked this video, consider supporting us on Patreon for more content. To those that are new to 40k, we hope you learned something. So leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.